Welcome to Marketing in Your Car, the podcast for funnel hackers everywhere. You are now part of a small group of underground entrepreneurs who are trying to change the world through the products and the services that we believe in. But because we don't rely on venture capitalists, we don't have financial safety nets. So we have to do things differently. We have to do things smarter. We do that through an art and a science that we call funnel hacking. Now, this podcast will give you a glimpse at the daily life of a funnel hacker. So let's get started. Hey everyone, it is a beautiful snowy day. I love the snow. It's so much fun. Hope you guys are having a good time wherever you are at in the world. And for some of you guys, it's probably super hot and you're on the beach hanging out, which is cool. For me, I am here driving in the office in the snow. It's about 12:30 in the afternoon. I'm going late because I've been trying to get the book done. So I've been spending a lot of time at home, locked away, and anyway, trying to get things done without people around me. And then I have to go and share the ideas because it gets the energy of everyone in my office gets me fired up and gets me motivated to keep writing, keep creating and stuff like that. So, but it's kind of fun, the last 3 days. I was supposed to have the book done last week. The last almost 4 days now, I'm focusing on this one chapter, and it's the Epiphany Bridge. And if you listen to the podcast, you hear me talk about Epiphany Bridge. And as I'm explaining it, it's tough because when you explain things live, it's one way. There's an easy way to do it. And you guys probably heard me explain Epiphany Bridge on the podcast, and I think that most people probably got it. But as you're writing, there's a lot of things you have to fill in because your audience may not have the context, right? When you guys are hanging out with me, we have some context. We know. There's understanding you kind of have. It's when I share something, it's oh, that's how it fits in the context of all this other stuff Russell's been sharing with me. But in a book, a lot of times you're in this vacuum where someone could be getting off a bookshelf. They have no idea who you are, and so there's more filling in between the lines that you have to do. And so the Epiphany Bridge, I could explain it really easily, but it's to get the full impact that I need, I need more. And so I spent the first night, I can't remember if I told you guys or not, but I spent 3 hours studying story just to get back into that state of how do you actually tell a good story and what's the structure. And I think I mentioned there's a really good audio called The Hero's Two Journeys, and Michael Haig and Chris Vogler teach story. And Michael Haig is a consultant for scriptwriters in Hollywood, and Chris Vogler does similar stuff for novelists. And I kind of have resonated a lot more with Michael Haig. In fact, we had Michael come and speak at one of our events, Dagan Smith and I, a couple years ago, and he taught this concept called The Hero's Two Journeys. And it was cool because I listened to the audio of it, and he spoke at our event, and it was cool. It was super awesome to see story, right? And you look at all movies, all books, they follow a very similar story structure. And so that was fascinating back then, but I didn't really know how to apply it because I'm not telling Hollywood productions or Hollywood movies. So I'm how does this apply to our world, right? And that's probably 5 or 6 years ago that he spoke at our event. So it's just it's been kind of up in the air for me for a long time. And this week, as I've gone back through it and I've been looking at it and listening to it through different lens, through I have a structure for my Epiphany Bridge story. So how does is it the same as the Hero's Two Journeys? Is it different? What things am I missing that I should be bringing over? And and it turns into this 4-day geek out session on story, which has been so much fun. But now that it's happening, I'm seeing this clear picture of just, it's amazing. And so I'm going to give Michael Haig credit for a lot of stuff because I'm learning it again through him, and I'm trying to tweak it in a way that fits into my lens that I view the world through. But some cool things. So I'll share a couple of them. I probably won't have to go through all of them. But the cool thing is, first off, we talked about every good story. There's 3 core components. There's a character. Then there's the desire of the character, where he's going, the visible desire. I need to go over there. And then there's the conflict. That's it. So if you have those 3, you've got a story. So you got a character, right? Little Red Riding Hood. She has a desire. I want to take my grandma a bag of goodies. And then a conflict. The big bad wolf wants to eat her along the way. Okay, and that's a story. And if you have those 3 elements, you got a story. So those are the 3 core things. And what's interesting is that typically as marketers, we look at the desire is where we try to create desire in people's minds, right? I want the big house or the car or whatever this thing you're trying to get to is. I want to lose weight. So we try to create desire in that. But what's interesting is in a story, desire is not created by the desire. Emotion's not created by the desire. The desire, the emotion we want in a story, the emotion comes from the conflict. That's what people actually care about. If there's no conflict, people don't care about the story, right? If my story is I woke up and I drove to the office, there's no conflict there. Nobody cares. It's boring. And so the conflict is what creates emotion, which makes the story actually interesting. And so there's kind of that. So, we talk about characters, always the backstory, and I've kind of pulled out, there's about 5 or 6 ways you can build rapport with a character. And in a movie, they try to do those things prior to, it gets in the first 10% of the movie. So prior to the attractive character or the hero, whatever you want to call it, leaving on this journey. And so you try and build rapport, and usually it's happening in a spot, right? And then about 10% into the movie, there's this thing that happens, right? That takes usually physically they leave the location that they're at and they go somewhere else, right? Frodo leaves the Shire and he goes on this journey, right? And what happens is there's always like this visible desire we have. We call this the journey of accomplishment. This is the hero's first journey, the journey of accomplishment. I need to accomplish this thing. I got to take the ring to Mordor and throw it in the lava pit, right? Or like every story's got that, right? There's this journey, and so that's the journey that we're all watching and we're visible and we're aware of, and we're going with the character on this journey, trying to help them to achieve, right? But then there's also this second journey, which is why he calls it the hero's 2 journeys. And the second journey isn't visible to the naked eye. Like, we don't see it like, oh, cool, Frodo's got to become a man, or what, like we don't see that piece of it. All we see is like the desire where they're trying to get to, and then the conflict that's happening along the way, right? And so that's what's fascinating, is there's a second journey happening, and that second journey is the journey of transformation. So first journey is journey of accomplishment. Second journey is the journey of transformation, of them becoming a different person. So if you look at the backstory of the story, what's happening is that we're creating the identity that this character believes about themselves, right? Like it's all their old beliefs, or all their current beliefs, but it's their beliefs. Like they believe that this and this, and like all these things are important to them. They've created their identity, right? And then they go on this journey of accomplishment, and during the process they have this journey of transformation, where this identity of who they think they are breaks away, and these old beliefs fall off, and then these new beliefs are born, and it shifts from their identity to their essence. And essence is the key. Like that's where we want to get to, is that essence of who we actually are, and having the hero discover that during this journey. And what's interesting is that in good stories, the hero will accomplish the thing that they wanted to, right? That they went on this journey of accomplishment. They accomplish that thing, but then usually, like, it doesn't matter to them. They throw it away, or they don't care, because the real journey was this journey of transformation, where the character became something more, right? And so as I came to the office, I was geeking out, so I mapped out on a whiteboard, and I showed this whole thing to a bunch of guys on my team, and I was explaining it all to them, and then everyone's kind of like, well, how to, like give me an example of this journey of transformation, like. And I was thinking also, like, it popped in my head, and I remember the story of Cars, right? So Cars is, we just watched it on the Disney cruise with my kids like 25 times, so like it's top of mind for me right now, right? But Lightning McQueen is this hero, right? There's this backstory. We hear all this stuff, and he almost wins the Piston Cup. There's a 3-way tie, so they can do the race. And so now he's got to leave. Like, he's physically leaving this spot. During the backstory, we understood his identity, what's important to him. He's a rookie. He's going to be the first time to win a Piston Cup, blah, 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 blah. We also see his character flaws. We find out before he leaves on his journey, he actually doesn't have any friends. Even Harv, his manager, he thinks is his friend, isn't actually his friend, doesn't really like him. And he's getting in this car, and we realize that, man, there's this pain that he has, and he doesn't know who he is. He's going to win this thing, and that's his identity. He has to win the Piston Cup, or else he's a failure in life. He's going to be the first rookie ever. So he jumps in into Harv, and they start on this journey, like physical journey, leaving the current location somewhere else, right? And the desires to him to go to California to win the Piston Cup. Boom, that's the visual goal we all see. And then what happens? Harv falls asleep, falls out of the car, gets stuck in Radiator Springs, and has introduces conflict, and all this conflict starts happening. And through this conflict, he becomes a different person, right? But then what happens at the end of the story, he gets the ability to go accomplish his desire. So he leaves Radiator Springs, he goes to the race, he gets in the thing, he's doing this race, and he has this opportunity to win, right? And he's out there racing the track. They go through, and it comes down to like the last minutes of the race. He's going through, and he passes everybody, and he's in the front, and he has become the victor. He's going to win his desires that he's been trying to accomplish this entire movie. The whole journey of accomplishment is now his. He owns it. And then all of a sudden, Chick Hicks hits the king's wheel. The king flips up, boom, 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 car wrecks, smashes everything. He looks up, and as he's about to cross the finish line, looks up, and he sees in the monitor, he sees the king destroyed. And he remembers the story about Doc and him being destroyed, and all of a sudden he realizes, and in that moment, he changes. and he realizes that this journey of accomplishment, things he's trying to accomplish, does not actually matter, and he throws it away. He slams on his brakes and stops an inch in front of the finish line, and he sits there, and then Chick Hicks flies past him, boom, wins the race. And then what does he do? He backs up, he goes back, he finds the king, goes behind him, and he starts pushing the king to the finish line. And the king says something to him. He says, what are you doing, rookie? He's like, you realize you just threw away the piston cup? And then this is where we have this glimpse of the transformation that Lightning McQueen has. He says, an old race car once told me all it is an empty cup. And then he pushes the king through the finish line, and the story and the hero's second journey, that transformation, he accomplished it. He became somebody more, something different, something better. Isn't that amazing? And it's like that is the storyline for movies, right? It's the hero's two journeys. And when you see it starts becoming so clear that like all these, like every movie, there's this external journey, the external desire that we're going for, but then there's this internal journey that happens. And I want you to think about this for yourself, because we'll get more when you get the book. It'll explain how this fits into the Epiphany Bridge and all other stuff. But for all of us, like that's our life, right? Like we all get into whatever we're doing because we have this thing. Like, I got into wrestling because I wanted to be at first a state champ. I want to be a national champ, right? Here's my journey of achievement. Like that was all I lived for. I thought about. That was the only thing that mattered. And I went on this journey and hit my state champ. I became an All-American. I went to college, and like my last goal was to become an All-American in college. And like my whole life, everything rode on this journey. I was going on this thing, and I didn't hit it. I fell short. I didn't even qualify for the national tournament my senior year. Fell short, and it was over. And I didn't get the thing that I've been trying to achieve. But then, like, for me as a person, I stepped back and I look and I said, like, what happened in the last 12 years of me pursuing this dream? And like, what was the journey of transformation for me? Like, who did I become because of that? Like, if I didn't go on this journey, even though I didn't hit my desire, even if I would have hit my desire, like what was put in my path? Who did I meet? How did I change who I am? How did I become someone different, someone better because of that? Like, if I hadn't gone on that journey, where would I be today? It'd be a whole different trajectory, but the journey of transformation happened because I was chasing that desire, right? Someone's getting into business, want to make money, like that's the desire, but then what happens along the way? Holy cow, you realize, and this is true for me, you realize that the things you create actually have an impact on people, and it can change their life. And suddenly it shifts from like, I need to make money, to like, how do I have an impact and a transformation? Like, that's the switch, right? That's why so many people who go through weight loss, right? This desire to lose weight, and in the process they learn something about themselves, and then they have so much passion about it, they want to share with other people, and that's why they become trainers and coaches and experts and all these crazy things. It's just so fascinating. So it's in movies, it's in life, it's all over the place, the hero's two journeys, and it's exciting. So that's what I got for you guys today. I'm almost at the office. I have more I want to share, but I'll have to save it for another podcast. Maybe I'll do it on the drive home tonight. I have the paper right here. So, because the next thing I'm looking at is like, okay, the conflict. Like, how do you break down the actual conflict that's happening inside of this story, right? Well, the hero's, after he's left home, and he's going through this thing. Like, what are the levels of the conflict? I actually have a sketch out right here. It'll be in the new book. I'm calling it the 5 Turning Points of Conflict, and it's awesome. So maybe I'll share that tonight or whenever the next podcast comes out. At least that's the game plan. And if not, then go read my book, because it'll be in there for sure. Anyway, I hope that is exciting for you guys. Get you a little pumped up about story, and thinking through that as you're telling your stories. Because at the end of the day, no one really cares if the hero achieves the accomplishment. The audience cares that the hero becomes something and gets the journey of achievement, or the journey of transformation. That's what we actually root for. That's how we fall in love with characters. Rocky Part 1, Rocky didn't win, right? But who did he become? That's why we love Rocky. All right, I'm at the office, guys. Appreciate you all. Have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you guys probably later on tonight. All right, bye. Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed the behind-the-scenes look at our funnel hacking projects. You can also watch the Funnel Hacker online reality show and watch us build and launch funnels live at www.funnelhacker.tv. If you'd like to come hang out with your fellow funnel hackers, come join our Facebook group at www.projectclickfunnels.com.
Oh yeah, and don't forget, you can get a free MP3 player with the first 257 episodes preloaded at marketinginyourcar.com. Join us next time, and remember, you're just one funnel away from your dreams.